Will everyone please join me in Gasho as I read the words from our founder, Master Shinran Shonin. In 5 kalpas of profound thought, he embraced this vow, then resolved again that the name be heard throughout the 10 quarters. Everywhere the Buddha casts light, immeasurable, boundless, unhindered, unequaled, light Lord of all brilliance. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namandas. Namandas. Good morning, everyone. And once again, welcome to our New Year's Eve service. This is the final service and the final time we will meet in the year of 2024. I don't know about you all, but I feel like this year has passed by really quickly. So much activity has happened this year. It's all become kind of a blur to me. And now here we are already on the 31st of December and getting ready to ring in the new year. And it's even more baffling to me that in just the blink of an eye, the New Year's Day, January 1st of 2025 will be right here. And hopefully some of us, maybe not all of us, will be right here back at the temple tomorrow morning. I know that many of you, though, probably have shogatsu, or New Year's Day party that you have to attend to. So I won't take it personally if you're not here. So today's Gosandai comes from the Shoshinge, the hymn or the beautiful poem written by Shinran Shonin in his Kyogyo Shinsho. This describes 5 kalpas is a huge amount of time. Like, if we think of time as this linear thing, as 1 to what year are we now, 2024 to 2025, kalpas goes way beyond that. It goes way beyond like hundreds of thousands of years. We think like, years in the tens, we can even sometimes think in the years of like tens of thousands. But when we think about kalpas, it really is this long measure of time that is truly immeasurable. And this is an important part of the story because it describes Bodhisattva Dharmakara's journey to enlightenment, to become Amida Buddha, or the golden Buddha that you see there right before you. This is an important part of the story because it details and highlights just how long it takes for one being to become fully enlightened or fully awakened. And yet at the same time, thanks to the teachings of Shinran Shonin, or clarified by Shinran Shonin, and the wisdom and compassion of Amida Buddha, we are able to experience and to benefit from enlightened activity in this life here and now. We are able to listen to the Dharma fully here and now, enjoy enlightened activity here and now. But coming back to the subject of this world and this life right now, I really also enjoy chanting the Jusei-ge for the New Year's Eve service, because what actually is in sequence of what we chant, Sanbutsu-ge is supposed to come first, and Jusei-ge is supposed to come afterwards. So when you listen to Sanbutsu-ge, Bodhisattva Dharmakara is establishing the vows, like it's starting to establish his resolution to become a Buddha. And Jusei-ge comes after Bodhisattva Dharmakara really solidifies this resolution and resolve. And I like to think of this in terms of our own years. When we think about the year that has passed, and when we think about the resolutions that we probably made at the beginning of the year, I asked this question this past Sunday, but does anyone here make New Year's resolutions every year? Like, you all, yeah, good. So when the new year begins, we all kind of make this, and usually we kind of make this internal promise within ourselves. Sometimes, right, as we get older, as we, go further, it becomes sort of routine in our lives. Our resolution is to like not have as so many speed bumps or so many like entanglements this year. Hopefully this year goes as smoothly as we possibly can. But other folks, right, like myself, made resolutions to get fit, get healthy, make that a goal. And I'm happy to say that I did, but that doesn't mean that the resolution stops, of course. But I like December 31st and Jusei-ge because to me, it sort of highlights the point or actually forces us to check in with ourselves at the end of the year-end review. How was your year? I have a close friend as well, who I sometimes see their posts on Facebook, and they always do like this monthly goal and then monthly review. And then at the beginning of the year, in January, they do a year goal, and then December 31st, they always do a year review. And they get the points that they make for the first part of the year, and then at the very end of the year, they list them off and they say publicly how they did or how they did well or if they didn't do as well. And this is, I think, a real good point for Buddhism as well, because Jodo Shinshu in itself is a self-reflective religion. It causes us, it sort of encourages us to look deep within ourselves and ask ourselves how our year was. And the good part about this is that there's always room for self-improvement, for myself included as well. If there's one thing probably that I need to really work on, it's my patience. I have virtually no patience. That's my Bonbu nature. But that shouldn't be an excuse, right? I shouldn't, excuse my lack of patience as that's just who I am, that's just Bonbu nature. There will be times, of course, that I will get impatient, but that doesn't mean that I can't work to better myself. Where this point, of course, becomes very apparent to me is during the holidays, because the holidays can be a particularly stressful time. I mean, as much as it is enjoyable. But I remember going back to my parents' place for the holidays, and of course, my mother is really rushing around getting the house and everything and all the food ready for the family dinners that happen. And of course, something is forgotten and she has to send myself, my brother, or my father out on an errand to oh, I forgot this. Can you go to the store really quickly and pick this up? And of course, this is, we're not the only family who does this. So once we get to Safeway or to, Farmer John's or any of those other stores, what do we see? A huge line of people just, packed up. And of course, I get into the store and I go, and I let out that sigh of lack of patience, right? And Reverend Cindy, of course, who, thank you very much for joining us today, Reverend Cindy, for today's New Year's Eve service, is all too familiar with my lack of patience when we go to crowded places. I hate standing in line, when it's a long line. And then, of course, I know that customers, and we're all trying to be nice to each other, but sometimes I think it goes a little too far, because then the checkout person and the customer start getting into this long conversation, and I start to go, okay, there's other people in the line here. Can we just please move this forward? There's a line forming, right? So that's that inner, lack of patience. So this is definitely something that I, as a person, need to work on. When we get into traffic, I mean, I start to get upset too, because when we get in our cars, we get into our own little worlds, right? So that should be my New Year's resolution, in addition to the other resolutions of self-improvement that I'm doing throughout, the years, right? Of course, living healthily, exercising more, eating better. But I should also really work on my patience, because really, right, while I can take good physical care of myself, the less patient that I am, the more stress it will cause, and probably the more it will age me. And so this is why I think Jusei-ge is a really, really good chant to do, the one that we just did, because it reaffirms the resolve of us bettering ourselves as Buddhists. And of course, as Buddhists, as Jodo Shinshu Buddhists, it requires a good sense of honesty as well when we look at ourselves. When we look back at our year and we think of all the wonderful accomplishments and the good things that we've done, we also have to equally look at the harm that we may have caused, the times that we have lost our patience or been short-tempered, and the times that we may not have been so nice. You know, I'm not saying that we should only look at those things. We need to look equally at the good and the bad, or the time that we've benefited others and the time that we've caused harm. So, you know, this is, I think, really good for us as, you know, we enter the New Year's Eve season. It's something that I think is really good for us as humans to develop a sense of self-reflection, which at the end of the day is why Jodo Shinshu encourages us to do this practice of, you know, in Buddhism. Yes, sitting in Zazen meditation is a wonderful practice and should be practiced by the Soto Zen sect and others. You know, doing all types of breathing exercises is wonderful, and it can help calm us down. And these are all Buddhist practices that are benefit all. But at the same time, when we look at our own practice of Jodo Shinshu and Namo Amida Butsu, I think one of the deep aspects of Jodo Shinshu practice is the Nembutsu. It is saying Namo Amida Butsu. And it's not just something that we say, but it's an acknowledgement of our state of being and our state of practice. It is an acknowledgement that we alone, by ourselves, cannot achieve enlightenment. This, I mean, not to say that we'll never be enlightened, but that we are not able to do it just by ourselves and on our own, which truly echoes the Buddhist teaching of interdependence. So as I greet you all today with a great sense of gratitude that all of you are here for our New Year's Eve service, and tomorrow it will be the beginning of a brand new year, let us all take this time to reflect on the vastness of, you know, this year, even though how quickly it went by, and of course, how much, you know, how we did this year. And let's be truly honest with ourselves. And once we truly are honest with ourselves about how we did this year, let us turn our gaze towards Amida Buddha in deep gratitude and say the Nembutsu. Thank you all so much for joining us today for our New Year's Eve service, or Joya-e. In closing, will you all please join me in Gasho as I once again read the words of our founder, Master Shinran Shonin. In 5 kalpas of profound thought, he embraced this vow, then resolved again that the name be heard throughout the 10 quarters. Everywhere the Buddha casts light immeasurable, boundless, unhindered, unequaled, light lord of all brilliance. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Naman Nam.